Morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sam here, Night People's TV. It's Saturday. We made it for the Saturday show. Come on. Looking forward to the game on Sunday, 4:30. We're going to be doing a full sort of build-up to the Spurs game. A little bit later in the show, some quotes from Ten Hag, some quotes from Postecoglou. We'll look at the team news for both teams. I already did that briefly in my preview that went out yesterday, but we'll speak about it as a community this morning. There's going to be a bit of a focus to begin the show on Alvaro Fernandez. Reports yesterday from Fabrizio Romano confirming that he's on his way to Benfica. Now, we don't know whether that's going to be on loan, on a permanent, or maybe a loan with a mandatory option. I'll run through the latest from Portugal on him. We'll speak about Antony. Some interesting quotes from Ten Hag on Antony. Injury news. Joe Hugel going to Burton Albion. Some quotes from Brian Brobby on Man United trying to sign him last year. Should be a good one. And as I said, it's a Saturday morning show. Not everybody can tune in Monday to Friday because they're at work sometimes. Saturday's the best day. But also, not everybody really knows when I go live on a Saturday. so hardly anyone tunes in because they don't really know that we're live. But let me see who's here from the member gang this morning. Did I say Alvarez? Alvaro Fernandez. Alvarez. I just combined the names. Good morning to you, Carl. We've got John, Saeed. We've got Lee. God's Power. We've got Chinadu. Ibrahim, you're going to the game tomorrow. Enjoy yourself as much as you can. Fingers crossed we win. And how you doing, man? We've got Thamandrin, Aaron, Inez, and Jonesy. On Facebook, we've got Ramalingam. We've got Jay William. We've got Daryl. We've got UC Christopher. We've got Gavin Thompson and Ibrahim and lots more. Ha! We've actually got Paul Mitchell. Not that Paul Mitchell. Or maybe he is. I don't know. Shax, you done. I went to see a mate last night. He works. He runs his own company. He runs like an insurance company. And I was trying to explain to him about what this community is and what United People's TV is. Because for him, YouTube is sort of, you scroll, you kind of watch what you want, and then you go off it. So he's not. He can't really kind of comprehend the sort of the family and community vibe that we got here. I always like talking about it with people now because what we built is amazing. But Shax has just gifted 5 memberships, which means 5 of you can join in. And Antony's, Dons. It means that that's 10 more of you, right? Let me leave the link here. 10 more of you that can join in the Arms tomorrow. So the Arms will be open half an hour before the Spurs game. That's our live call-in show where you as members can call in and have a chat with me before the game, or you can just come in and listen if you're a regular member. Everybody's welcome. There's just different levels. Let's get into the news. And I want to start with this, right? Like the utter lack of self-awareness in this comment from True Jawley is honestly mind-blowing. I'm in favour of financial rules to stop another Man City situation, but I'm going to moan about them because it's exactly what these rules are doing. These rules are there to stop Newcastle doing what Man City did. Now, you'd be correct in being frustrated that the door has been closed after the horse has bolted. But my word, he's a melt anyway. Always has been. It's just funny. I just find it hilarious. And I'll be honest, I'm part of me is so glad that we as United fans don't have to get dragged into that sort of moral conversation permanently. But yeah, I'll give you 115 reasons why City are a disgusting club. I think you know what they are. But it's just that just really, really made me laugh. I'm in favour of these rules, unless it's against my club, then I don't like them. Idiot. I hope Newcastle fold. I really, really do. Now, let's speak about this news because for a lot of United fans, and you know what? I did my video this week on Man United's Academy. and I've said it a few times, and it's completely correct. Manchester United's academy is in the healthiest and strongest position it has been in a long time for developing players who are closer to being first team quality than they have been in a number of years. Man United's academy has always produced players, all right? However, the caliber of players that are coming through, because our recruitment from abroad over the last 4 to 5 years, I mean, that kind of could be a video unto itself, because every good academy will be a blend of the best local talent and the best foreign talent, spotted, cherry-picked, and brought in. Now, you've got Alejandro Garnacho as an example. You've got Willy Cambuala. You've got Hannibal Mejbri, Alvaro Fernandez. You've got Mark Gerardo, who's also quite good. United have massively improved in this sense. And Alvaro Fernandez is a player who, for a lot of United fans, they were annoyed that he went on loan in the first place, right? If I remember correctly at the time, this is when we got Reguilon on loan. Am I right in that? Am I right in that? Yeah, I think it was that crossover time. And Alvaro Fernandez went on loan to Granada. I don't know whether that happened first or not. I should really looked at the dates of that. Let me try and see this. I thought they matched up. Alvaro Fernandez joins Granada on loan. So he joined there on what date? Oh no, that's not it. 1st of September he went out. When did we get Reguilon in on a short-term deal? Reguilon joins Man United. 1st of September. Right. Okay, well, there you go. Quite literally the same day. All right. Same day. So, a lot of people were annoyed about that because they felt that Alvaro Fernandez's quality meant that he deserved that opportunity. And I remember having conversations about this at the time because Malacia was already out with a long-term knee injury. When did Luke Shaw get his big injury? Luke Shaw injured Man United. When was that? Right, October time? I don't know. It was after that. So we had Malacia, who was out with a long-term injury. You had Luke Shaw, who was fit at that time. And then you had Delo and Wan-Bissaka playing as the two fullbacks on the right-hand side. Delo, of course, could play as a left-back if necessary. But Erik ten Hag, it's one of two reasons why Fernandez went out on loan. Number one, Ten Hag just didn't feel like he was ready to be that backup left-back option. Or number two, Fernandez didn't want to be that backup option and wanted first-team football. And I think that part is quite important. We don't know that bit. But then when this story came out yesterday, there was quite an angry response, I think. Came from Portugal. It's because it's happened in Portugal, that Benfica are closing in on a deal to sign Alvaro Fernandez. And it was said that it was going to be on a permanent transfer. Of course, right now he's on loan at Granada in La Liga. Last season, he had a really solid loan spell. I think there was a man named Andy who always slid into my DMs, giving me updates on his... I haven't really ever said thank you for this, but there's a guy called Andy who always slid in my DMs. I think his name was Andy. Telling me how he was playing at Preston every week. And like the fans really took to Fernandez at Preston. Don't actually know how well he's been doing at Granada. But clearly he's been doing something right if Benfica are sniffing around. Andy, there you are. How you doing, man? See you in the comments. Everyone say thanks to Andy. Big up, dude. But what was I going to say there? Yeah, Benfica, right? If Benfica is sniffing around a younger player, there might not be, honestly, I don't think this is an exaggeration. There might not be a better club because it's their business model. They've built it into their club. There might not be a better club when it comes to talent ID at a young age than Benfica. Like the amount of times that they've done it. I don't need to run through the list of players going back to Di Maria and Matic and David Luiz to coming through with Darwin Núñez and anyone else in between. Gonzalo Lopez. I mean, geez, the list is massive. Benfica really know what they're doing. So that annoyed a lot of people. And then, what was it? Maybe an hour later? Saying, hold on, it might not be a permanent deal. It might be a loan. And then this morning, we go over here to record in Portugal. And I don't think Fabrizio has been reported on this just yet, but this is what they're saying out in Portugal, is that he is going to be joining on loan, but with a mandatory purchase option clause. So that will be going on loan with an obligation for Benfica to buy Alvaro Fernandez. Now, I've spoken about this with you a few times, right? When it comes to youth team players coming through into the first team, you can't just get annoyed every single time United decide to move a youth team player on. Like, some people lost their heads over Zidane Iqbal leaving. Don't think anyone really cried over Charlie Savage. Angel Gomez was another one. You can't just explode every time a youth team player leaves. However, something I've always said is that when it comes to a youth team player breaking through into the first team, two things have to happen, right? Number one, the play has to be good enough, right? Obvious, I know. But the play has to be good enough. And number two, there has to be a pathway and an opportunity to go into that first team. And that is where I think I would be annoyed if there was a mandatory purchase option clause, because the way that this season has gone, Malacia has missed the entire bloody season with a knee injury, and then a knee injury on said knee injury. There is no knowing what player is going to come back in Tyrell Malacia. And he was raw to begin with anyway. Malacia's defending relied heavily on his recovery pace because he got caught bombing forward too much, but he was such an athlete that he was able to cover those spaces in behind. If he's just got like a double knee injury, who's to say that he's not going to lose like a yard or two? I mean, he probably will. He might get it back over time, but it'll take him a while. There's no guarantee that Malacia is going to be here next season. And Luke Shaw has missed a large chunk of this season through injury. Muscular injuries rather than like a big knee injury, which I think would probably have a longer term impact. Muscular injuries take a long time, but they tend to not have as much of a long term impact. There's a clear pathway to the first team for Alvaro Fernandez at left back because we don't really know, truth be told, who our two left backs are going to be next season. So the idea that Fernandez and the price that we're seeing banded about is 10 million euros, which seems very cheap. Now, I would presume there would be a 20% sell-on clause as part of that. And I'll be honest, I think Manchester United are going to be looking across at Manchester City, and I've spoken about this before as well. Looking across the city and seeing what they've managed to turn their academy into. As well as, and I'm telling you, this because of the changes to FFP, This is how every single club is going to be looking at their academy slightly differently. Because of the new sustainability rules, because of how much more valuable it is to a club's spending power to sell an academy player because it counts as pure profit. You don't have to amortize anything. Clubs are now looking towards their academies like City looks towards their academy as a way to sort of support big spending for the first team. It is happening. It's happened at Chelsea and City. Kind of hasn't happened all the time there, but I guarantee you it's going to be happening to most clubs as well. You're going to see a significantly more high profile, younger players kind of shifting clubs. And that's down to the new sustainability rules. But I find the idea that we would take him away from Granada mid-season on loan and then send him on loan to Benfica with an obligation to purchase. I find that strange, given that our left-back position is so uncertain. Given that we don't know whether Malacia is going to be any good when he comes back because of the injury and the scale of it, there's an obvious pathway for Fernandez. So I'll be interested to see if this actually goes through as a proper loan with a obligation to buy. There's a difference between an option to buy and an obligation. An option you can choose, an obligation you got to pay it. Even if the dude gets injured, you got to pay it. I'm going to go down here and read a few of your comments. DP, and I agree with this, man. How about selling higher then? Yeah, that's the thing that kind of has confused everybody. Like Zidane Iqbal for €1 million. It's like sending like half a pack of mini cheddars. It was so nominal. I mean, give me €1 million. It's not nominal, but in the grand scheme of football clubs, €1 million is nominal, and it just felt almost like you're just trying to get rid of him. Like I was like, I don't care. Just give me a quid. That's kind of what it felt like with Zidane Iqbal. €10 million for Alvaro Fernandez, for me, feels undervalued. He's now had a full season in the Championship. He's had half a season in La Liga as well. He has first-team experience. He's now got north of 50 first-team games. And you might say, it's only the Championship. The Championship is hyper-competitive. It is such a difficult league to win. You've got to play every 3 bloody days in the Championship as well. Marine saying, don't know. To be honest, Sam, I don't know why we brag about him so much. Plenty of academy have stepped into the first team. I do agree. Alvaro Fernandez has real qualities. Like he does look good. He's an athletic fullback. He can go on the outside. He can whip crosses in. He's got a pretty good all-round game. And I could easily see him being a good alternative to Luke Shaw. I could. And as I said, I've got question marks about Malacia. I have question marks about Malacia before he got injured, because his game relies around explosive pace and recovery ability to cover the spaces in behind that he's left. And he's just blown his knee out for like 7 months. We have no idea. Truth be told, you'd be surprised if there wasn't an impact. We don't know whether it's going to be a lasting impact, though. Sam is saying, are we becoming a feeder club to other clubs right now? Like, Sam, come on. Calm yourself down. Right? But I think my point here is get used to these conversations. Because over the next, I would say, hopefully longer than 3 years, but 2 to 3 years, there are going to be so many players coming through this academy system that you're all going to think of a first team ready. And they're not going to be. And we are going to sell some. And I think some United fans are going to get annoyed about every single player that we sell. The thing is, we have to sell smart, right? There has to be a good fee for the player. And I think, honestly, the fee is probably one of the things that people are annoyed about the most. It's not only the fact that you're letting Fernandez go. It's like, for 10 mil? Like, come on. But get used to it, because there's going to be a lot more players that leave that you think might be ready. But you can only, let's be honest, how many youth team players can you realistically bring into a first team environment successfully on an annual basis? Honestly, you're probably looking at 2. I would say so. How many do you think? That's actually quite a good question. On like a season by season basis, how many youth team players do you think you can reasonably bring through into the first team environment and kind of expect them to shine and become first team players? Last season we had Garnacho. This season we've got Garnacho, second part of his development, and we've got Mainu coming through. You can't have that many. So you really have to be hyper selective, which is what Eric Ten Hag was. Savage gone, Iqbal gone, Mainu through. What are you saying down here? 4 at most, says Jade. I mean, surely the only time we've ever done that has been a class of 92. Bringing through that many youth team players in the same season and it being successful pretty much on all counts. I don't know if it's happened any more than that. 1 at best, says Lightning. 2, says John. 2 per season. 3 to 4. 2 maximum, says Paul. 2, but if there's injuries there as well. Thamandran, really good point, saying not with United expectations. Akash, there's a couple of super chats here. Let me read these out and then we can move on to the next talking point. I want to speak about Antony for a little bit. Akash, you're saying more evidence that the spending in the last 10 years has plunged the club into a financial volcano. Nice way of putting it. This is the first decade post-Fergie. I fear what decade 2 and 3 will bring. FFP sucks. Well, Man United would not even... FFP would mean sweet FA to our football club if we had different owners in these last 10 years. We have hemorrhaged cash. We have wasted a ton of money. Our recruitment system is so flawed that we haven't been making... Basically, every asset that Manchester United has purchased has gone down in value. It's like buying 10 houses. It's like being the world's worst real estate agent. You buy 10 houses and you sell 9 of them for a loss. And then that one little tiny bungalow over there called Dan James, you sell him for a little bit of a profit. And it's kind of a pleasant surprise. But that's why we've been plunged into this situation. We should be nowhere near. We don't need a cash cow. We've never needed a cash cow. And that's why I can just sit here and laugh at the sense of self-entitlement in that message, and why I'm so glad that Man United don't have to have that, because we've never needed that. We just needed smarter people in control of the wallet of our club. That's been the issue. What are you saying down here? There's another super chat there from Stash. What are you saying? How you doing, dude? Look at me. I'm feeling a bit haggard today, actually. I did my shoulder in at the gym, first proper week back in the gym, and I pulled something in my right shoulder and I slept heavy. So I'm like, Anyway, I still talk about that. That comment is just, it didn't strike a nerve. It was so out there that I think I'll always remember it. And you're saying, I believe the statistic is somewhere between 1 in 1,000 actually make it from academy. What? I know what you mean. Coming from academy systems into first team football, that jump is huge. Now, whether or not Alvaro Fernandez... So in my personal opinion, I would like to see if he is going to go Benfica, then I think that's a massive indicator of his talent, because I don't think Benfica really miss when it comes to players at that age. If we sell him, then I want a 20% sell on, and I want a buyback as well. It has to be right. And I'll be honest, I'm not of the mindset that a lot of people are, we're gonna regret Iqbal leaving, we're gonna regret Savage leaving, we're gonna regret Ted and Mengi leaving. Ted and Mengi wouldn't. I mean, I suppose he would have had a pathway into the first team this season. I always get not upset, but frustrated at Axel Tuanzebe. Honestly, he was the one, in my opinion. He was the centre back from our academy system who really, really, really could have been a first choice centre back for our club. And then injuries just kind of robbed him of that opportunity. That was a frustrating one. But let's see what goes on. In Portugal, they're saying it's going to be a loan with a mandatory option. Let's find out. Let's move on to the next talking point here. And that is Antony, who has been a bit of a... Let's be honest. He's been a bit of a waste of space this season. A massive waste of space. Last season, I defended Antony quite a lot. I think because of the price tag, the expectations on Antony immediately were to the top. And he delivered, by the way, in the first 3 games. Was it 3 games, 3 goals? Goal in his debut against Arsenal. Man, that day felt good. But last season, I defended him a lot. This season, I'm far harsher in a second season of a player than I am in the first season. It's just how I personally view signings. I know we can all want a player to come in and just nail it in the first season, but the realities of the expectations of Manchester United, I think, shocks a lot of players when they come to the club. And also the pressures of playing in the Premier League. Some people might think they're ready for it until they do it. And then they go, well, actually, I'm not ready for this. But this season, Antony he's not been a waste of space, actually. He's just been straight up crap. So I want to run through some quotes from Eric Ten Hag on Antony. I think it's going to be a good conversation that we need to have down here. Ah, man, Nuruddin, you absolute legend. Nuruddin, one of the big mods on the Discord, inviting 20 of you. Ding dong indeed. Mate, legend. Thank you very much, dude, man. I love... I think I must say this like 15, 20 times a week, but we really have built something mega special here for United People's TV. And I'll be honest, it would be really, really nice. It would be really nice if United could actually be good at football. You know that. And it is a case of when and not if. But if that when could come at some point quite soon, that'd be nice. Because when it happens, it is going to be fun as hell on here. I'll tell you that. Miles, I'll see you there this morning. Big up to you, dude. I want to run through these quotes, right, on Antony. There's quite a lot here, so I'll read it out to you. This is what he said. He was asked whether Antony was still being affected by the problems in his private life, the allegations of domestic abuse. It has had an effect. It has had an impact on him, definitely. So he has to deal with that. He has to sort them out, but we will give him all the support. But yeah, he has to do better. I think his off-field issues stop him playing. I think his first year was okay, and I think this preseason was very okay. Can you be very okay? Don't know that. The first 4 games, he was very good. I wouldn't go as far as that. For instance, I've seen the game against Spurs back, and he played a very good game. But from the moment he was out, and then he came back and didn't deliver the performance you should expect from him, and he can do so much better. You mentioned Ajax also. I look back there. His effectiveness and product was high. Also in the Champions League was high. I'm sure he's capable of bringing these key actions, key passes, crossing, finishing. His end product in Ajax was very high, and he should return to that level. But of course, the league is more difficult. Now, I want to know what you sort of make of these comments. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to sort of read out some of your opinions. Happy, so you're saying that Antony is suffering from the overblown price tag, just like Pogba. If he was purchased at the exact price he was valued at, we wouldn't put as much pressure on him. Now, in my opinion, that's correct. I'm not saying that as an overall. Okay, that justifies everything. But I think if Manchester United had signed Antony for what we should have signed him for, somewhere in the 30 to 40 million pound region, then the conversations around him would have been very different and far less scrutinized. So that technically wasn't his fault, but that Manchester United massively overpaid. Everyone knew at the time. We knew we were getting rinsed for Antony. But that's what happens when you don't go early in the summer. You wait to the end until after you've lost against Brighton and Brentford. And Ajax have already sold. Who is it they sold beforehand? They already sold, like, was it Timber? No, it wasn't Timber. Can't remember. They'd already sold players, I think, anyway. Let me see what you're saying down here. Antony was at Ajax was average, says Ross. At Ajax, Antony was a good player because he played in a system which dominated possession, and he always had support on that right hand side. And yeah, they were like 65% possession every single game. And in that environment, in that system, Antony flourished. But in a system at Manchester United, he's certainly not so far. Antony's work rate, Antony's work rate has been good enough, but you don't pay £80 million for a player with work rate. You pay £80 million for a player who is the difference maker in games. Key passes, assists, finishes, the hard stuff, the stuff that the average footballer can't do. You pay £80 million to make sure you have a footballer that can do that. Oh, man, wow. What's going on there? Akash, you gifted 5. I'm going to have to do some separate little gongs here. We're going to go for a triple gong, like a triple threat match. Who's winning in this triple threat match? We've got Akash Paul coming up against I'm a Potato versus Estevo. Hell in a Cell, triple threat. I'm a Potato gifting 20 memberships and Estevo gifting 10. Happy Saturday, people. It's a slightly different, I don't know, is it a slightly different vibe on Saturday? I feel a little bit more relaxed. Going to go for a little one. A little one. It's quite a satisfying noise in your ear. Probably not in your ear. More satisfying in my ear. What we're saying down here then. Akash, you're saying he's a possession-based player. We overpay for Antony, says Edwich. Gavin, man, it's truth there. I don't remember, and I'm sure there were. Was Anderson as left-footed as Antony is? I think Anderson had more of a right foot than Antony did. Who's the most one-footed player you can remember at United? It's a good question, that. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Who's the most one-footed player I remember playing for our club? Answers on a postcard. Nah, who said Van Persie down there? That's a bad shout. Man, he was bopping in goals with his... I swear he bopped in some goals with his right foot. He definitely has got a right peg on him. Quite a few people saying Giggs. He was so good with his left foot. It's such a shame how despicable a human Giggs is. Like, legitimately one of my favourite players. And you can't even have a conversation about Giggs anymore. Real shame. Valencia. That's a good shout. Valencia's a good shout. Gary Neville. Anyway, it's probably recency bias, but Antony is certain, and the thing with Antony that's kind of made it stand out is Garnacho has stepped over to the right hand side, and in the same game against Wigan, he dummied his man, he dropped a shoulder and fizzed in a wicked cross that Højlund should have been scoring from with his right foot, and then 3 minutes later, pinged in a shot from the outside of the box on his left foot and hit the bar. Robert Smith with a... As if I'm ever going to stop that. As if I'm... It's such a strange comment. Of course I'm going to be stopping to welcome new members. That will never change. So if that frustrates you, Rob, sorry, my man. This is not the place for you. In my opinion, I think Antony will probably get one more season at the club because of the price that we paid for him. But I would be pleasantly surprised, if in the second half of this season, Antony just sort of turns it round. I think once United start playing with a bit more possession and become a little bit more dominant with the return of Martinez, the return of Shaw, and hopefully the return of last season's Casemiro alongside Mainu, and we start getting the ball a lot. Good. But we've got Wan-Bissaka playing down the right-hand side right now. And he just does not venture forward. He hasn't ventured forward at all in the last few games because it feels like United have been playing the system where it's been going down the left with Dalot as an inverted fullback and Wan-Bissaka's just been sticking back. So when you get Shaw back on the left and Dalot going forward on the right, you might get a bit more out of Antony, but I don't know. He's an oddball, man. I'll be honest. I don't see him being at this club in the long term. I think we'll sell him at a significant loss. And Amrabat has, I think it's kind of fair to say it's a letdown, given the expectations. The reason I got so excited about Amrabat was because he was Amrabat was the perfect profile of player that we needed. And I think that's kind of how I look at signings now. I try not to look at the individual too much. I try to look at the technical qualities of that player and thinking, what are we missing? And I'm like, Amrabat is exactly that. That's why I got so excited about him. But was it Liverpool away was an impressive performance? I don't think he's had that many. And he was clearly injured when he came in at the start of the season. I don't think he's going to be here next year. But I'm hoping that when he comes back from AFCON, I mean, he's probably not going to play that much. Hopefully we've got Casemiro fit, Eriksen fit, Mainu fit, and then Amrabat. Don't know. Let's see. Now, this is an interesting one here, right? Let me quickly pull this up. Some quotes from Brian Brobby. Oh, 1 second there. There's a couple more things. There's a Stuart. It's your super chat, man. You're allowed to. Well, you're actually not allowed to say what you want. Greenwood could fix the issues on any right-hand side, but it won't be Manchester United's. And we wouldn't be having a conversation about any problems on the right-hand side if Greenwood was a Manchester United player and stayed on the path that he was on. But it's now a mute conversation. It's now something in the past. He's made his choices, and that's the end of it. Nuruddin, man. Sorry for interrupting the conversation, people. How dare you interact with the community? What a ridiculous concept. 10 memberships, dude. Man, everybody, jump in the Discord, please. This Discord, can I just say, nice little bit of news for you here. I have got a really, really good update on the software. I'm going to now promise, and I've not done this before, I'm going to promise that by the 1st of February, there's going to be a brand new relaunch of United People's TV live shows. The live shows are going to go through the roof in terms of interaction and just the production levels. They are really, really going to go through the roof. So put that in your calendars. By the 1st of February, it's going to happen because, there's been some real movement on the software, and I can't wait to bring that to you. February 2024, Ant. All right. The original gong will stay, but you'll see the new setup. You'll see the new setup. Don't worry about that. You've got Days Gone saying you should do a call-in show and have guests. Well, you have to find out on the 1st of Feb. All right. But I want to have a quick conversation about this before we move on to speaking about a little tiny bit on Sancho before we round the show off with Spurs. A nice build up to Spurs. Brian Brobby, of course, who is Ajax's striker. Man United have been linked with a move for him in the summer coming up. We were linked with him last summer. And he's gone and given these quotes in an interview now, which this has only come out 2 hours ago. So you might not have seen these. This is what he said about last summer. Manchester United wanted me, but I really wanted to return to Ajax permanently. You remember where he was? He went on loan to Leipzig and then came back to Ajax. To make this possible, returning to Ajax, my agent waived his hefty resale percentage. And this is what he said about United. Eric Ten Hag called me, and at United, Jose could get his millions of euros and I could earn multiples of my Ajax salary. But our decision was made. We wanted to go to Ajax. So Eric Ten Hag wanted. I probably was sold. I sold those. Anyway, Eric Ten Hag tried to get Brobbey last summer. Now, last summer we didn't sign a striker, I don't think. We obviously got that was Ten Hag's first season. Martinez, Casemiro, Antony, Ericsson, Malacia. I think they were our big signings. We got Dubravka on loan. And then, of course, we signed Weghorst in January on loan. Ten Hag has to be taken away from transfers. And I mean that in the it's not really, you can't really say that in a polite fashion, can you? It is just not how elite top level clubs operate. It's just not anymore. United used to be like that. Well, Fergie would trust his scouts so much that, I mean, we even signed Bebe without him ever watching the player. That didn't work out. But Ten Hag has to be taken away from transfers. It's just his talent ID goes as far as what he's seen with his own eyes, which is a very limited pool. And you're saying that I don't trust Ten Hag's judgment in the market. I don't. I think we've seen, well, it's mainly the Antony one, but just take him away from transfers. Just allow him to be the coach that he came to this club to be. Stupid club, man. Ross, it's not about someone telling Ten Hag to stay in his lane, man. When he came into the club, who the hell is he going to trust? He goes, hold on, you just sacked an interim manager you said was going to be a consultant, but you've now booted him out. Who's John Murto? What? So he was an internal appointment. What do you mean an internal promotion? Right, so he's got no experience. Well, who's your head of recruitment? Oh, you haven't got one? Right, okay. Who's the CEO? Wait, so he doesn't know anything about football? Right, okay. Well, I don't trust any of you goons then. I'm making all the decisions, and that's why he took the control. I don't blame him for that. That was him trusting his own instincts rather than an environment he didn't know anything about. But that now changes. Ineos are coming in, and they're going to put the right people in place. So you can trust the person who is above you to make that decision, so you don't have to mess it up yourself. I was going to talk about Sancho for a little bit, but you know what? Truth be told, I can't be asked. I can't be bothered to dedicate any more time talking about Sancho. So I'm not going to. Move on. Good luck to Joe Hugel, who's going on loan to Burton Albion for the rest of the season. I hope it's better than Charlie McNeil's loan to Stevenage. I think it was Stevenage. Hardly got a game time. But yeah, good luck to him. He's obviously featured on the bench a couple of times, but he just featured on the bench a couple of times. He never got used. He was, I suppose, he was there just in case there was another injury to someone else. But good luck to him. All right. And good luck, segue, to Manchester United against Spurs tomorrow. Last 10 minutes of the show, we'll speak about it. I've already done our predictions. I'll show you my starting 11. And I'll be honest, in the last, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks, maybe even longer than that, I've been pretty accurate with the starting 11s. This week, I've got no idea. I have no idea what United's starting 11 is going to be against Spurs. Because, and this feels good to say, right? Ericsson, Ahmad, Antony, Martinez, Casemiro, and Luke Shaw are all in contention to feature against Spurs. Now, it doesn't mean that all or any of them are going to start, but they're all at that position now where they might play for United against Spurs. And that is that's some seriously good news on an injury front. It, as it should, will raise expectations. Because, like, these three in particular, I don't mean this in an offensive way to Eriksen, Ahmad, or Antony. But these three right here were absolute cornerstones of United's successful football last season. All three of them. Equally as important. I would probably say Martinez was the most important. And then it's a bit of tit for tat between Shaw and Casemiro, but probably just Casemiro. But they really were just kind of the foundations. Yes, in fact, Ibrahim, you just said it down there. You can't. It's not really the spine, because the spine is just straight through the middle. You got your goalkeeper, one of your centre backs, your central midfielder, and your centre forward. That's like the spine of your team. But they were three of the most important players. Now, we don't know the levels of fitness, and that's what I mean. That's why it's quite difficult for us to predict who the starting 11 is going to be, because we don't know exactly how fit Martinez is. He may well have been in like full training for like weeks now behind the scenes, and he's actually fitter than anybody knows. But he still wouldn't be match fit, which is a very different level of fitness. We know that. You can train all you want, but until you're in an environment where you're playing a match and you've got to run that extra 10% that you don't in training, yeah, you don't know. It's going to be interesting. But also, on top of having those three back, I mean, Eriksen is... I wouldn't say Eriksen's got back to his best last season. I think Eriksen's best football definitely came in the first half of last season, still in a Manchester United shirt. Ahmad, I thought, was pretty positive, is probably the way I would describe his performance when he came off the bench against Wigan. No, sorry, came off the bench against Fulham and then disappeared out of the team against Wigan. I think he was ill, wasn't he? But it's good to have some players back, because, look, man, where's this? I think we've spoken about this. Well, I've asked you. I think there was actually 2 games in a row where United finally had it. I don't think we won both. Injuries have meant that we've had 19 different back four combinations this season. Do you know how mad that is? 19. I would struggle to, on paper right now, write 19 different bloody back four combinations. I really would. It's just been... Yeah, Jonathan, it's been so disruptive. And for a team which is... I know we haven't seen it much this season. Erik ten Hag wants this team to play out from the back with confidence, with panache, with tempo and quality. And we haven't seen any of it, right? Not at all. Onana we brought as a goalkeeper who will be great under pressure, able to find those cute passes that allowed this system to be built, and we just seen none of it. And we've also had 19 different back four combinations. I genuinely feel it's a pretty fair conversation, and the excuse is the wrong word to have, but man, that's mad. 19 different combinations. And the thing is right, expectations should definitely be going up from now on. It's not that expectations were low, because you kind of drifted into an expectation of United losing. But we have been ravaged by injuries this season, no doubt. And I remember how good we were when we came back from the World Cup, when the World Cup was over. Was it roughly about this point last year where we turned our best form in? That 6-week period up until the winning the League Cup at the end of Feb? I hope United do it 2 times in a row. Oh, that'd be lovely. That'd be very lovely. Now, with Spurs, right? Ben Davies, I think he's been playing centre-back whilst they've had Van der Ven and Romero unavailable. So he's now out. But I think Romero is just unavailable. I don't know whether Van der Ven will be back. Son, of course, is at AFCON. Son is at the Asian Cup. Sarr is at AFCON. Bissouma is at AFCON. We don't know whether Dragusin is going to be playing, but if he is, it's going to be his debut for the club and his first game in the Premier League. If he can go to Old Trafford and play like a demon and be used to the pace of the Premier League in his first game, then fair play to him. And Timo Werner might play as well. Spurs are not going to be at full strength, but they're still going to be very dangerous. They've been impressive this season under Postecoglou. They had a massive wobble because I remember I kept tweeting about it after that Chelsea game where they had like red cards galore and injuries galore. I was like, oh, so you're telling, and then they went on to lose 3 in a row. I'm like, oh, so you're telling me that the quality of a team is impacted when their first team players are injured? I mean, imagine my shock. I was absolutely reeking of sarcasm because that's exactly what it was. But Spurs, 2 wins in a row, I think they have now. They will play with a high line. They will give us opportunities. And those teams, when we played those teams this season, is when United have kind of excelled the most. Aston Villa, for example. Even at 2, I say excelled. We were 2-0 down. But even at 2-0 down, we were creating kind of the whole time. And even at 2-0 up, they kept playing with a massively high line and we exploited it. 1-2, boom. Spurs will give us the opportunities. It depends whether this team is capable of doing it. Now, I honestly have no idea. I said, look, if Martinez and Shaw are both 100% fit, then they start. But realistically, I don't think they will be. And Luke Shaw has been brought back from injuries. Well, he came back from his injury in what? Was it November? Late November, I think it was. Played 3 games and then disappeared again. Who do you think, right? So who do you think Erik ten Hag, that's the wrong one, will start out of these 6? Right, leave the names in the comments. Who do you think he'll risk? Or who is the least risky to use in this game? Because I think I don't know who's going to play alongside Bentancur in midfield for Spurs, but they're missing Sarr, they're missing Bissouma. So the midfield shouldn't be as intense as it would have been. And again, we don't know the fitness of Casemiro. Ten Hag said that they're all sort of available for selection, so they had to be fit enough to be in the team. We just don't know whether they're fit enough to start. Jonathan saying it's risky. Definitely Eriksen will be playing. Shaw did look good. No, he did look good. I'd love to see him. If Martinez is full, honestly, man, I hope it happens. I hope Martinez is fit. That's the one player that I would like to see tomorrow. If he's fully fit and he's available, I want to see Martinez in that team. We just don't know how fit he is. We'll definitely see him against Eastleigh or Newport in the FA Cup. But this is a big Premier League game. It really is. Because of the 2-week break we got. In fact, no, not more than 2 weeks. How many days have we got between this and the next game in the Premier League? Let me just figure this out. 7, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 days. Right? 19 days until our next Premier League game. Whatever the result of this is going to leave a lasting and lingering conversation that sort of festers. If it's bad, if it's good, then it's brilliant, and then you can have that momentum that kind of lasts for a couple of weeks and goes in to the Wolves game. But 19 days. That's what I mean. Like if Ten Hag is, you can't risk these players, man. The thing is, of course he will. Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United staff will know which of these players are properly fit to start and which ones are risky. And we won't know that. And we'll find out on Sunday. But what's your prediction for this game, right? My prediction was, Stephen, you're asking why it's 19 days. It's because there's a winter break now. After this game, there's a winter break and you've got the FA Cup towards the end. Yeah, that's what it is. What's your prediction? Mine was a really tight 2-1 to United. Spurs are going to leave gaps. Manchester United will be able to create opportunities. If we're as wasteful as we were against Wigan, and we don't really stand a chance. And Vicario is a very good goalkeeper. He's been a big reason why Spurs have had the season they've had. He's very good at coming out of his box and like sweeper keeper vibes. Big reason, actually. And you don't think it's going to be tight at all? You're going for a 4-2 United? Oh, man. We need this. We need this. What else are we saying down here? Let's have a look. 3-1 to United, says Stephen. 1-1 draw. Spurs win 3-1, says Aiden. 2-2 draw. 2-1 says Imole. 4-2 win, says Teklam. That's 2 4-2 wins. JC, you're going for a 2-2. Lone Wolf, you're going for a 3-1. Mount saying Werner's going to score. I don't care. I don't mean that like in a weird way. I just don't care. I do still feel that United will get some sort of attacker in the last. I imagine it's going to be late in the window. I imagine it's going to feel a little bit rushed. I don't really know why we're waiting, but I think we are. And I think we'll get somebody, but I have no idea who. Nuruddin, man. You're a dude. Gift him 5 more memberships just to wrap up the show. Because it is Saturday. It is the weekend, and everyone should have a cracking weekend. Evan Ferguson. Anybody got a spare 80 million? Anybody? Anybody got a spare 80 million? Look, thank you for tuning in. Saturday shows are supposed to be a little bit more laid back, a little bit different. I need to tighten my mic up. I'm not joking, I'll set up. But look, thank you everyone for tuning in. I will be here tomorrow for the arms. I'm going to leave the link to the Discord right there. So that's the link from me to you. Everybody can join. It's completely and utterly free. It is the community home of United People's TV. See the live chat that you've got here and everybody's getting involved? Go there, join in the general, and it's there all day. And there's loads of different channels for you. Stuart as well, man. Thank you, everybody. As I said, I was sitting there having a proper conversation with my mate Dan last night. Say, by the way, my mate Dan and Leia, they're having a baby, so say big up to them. I don't know, they're not going to be watching anyway. But I was talking about the channel and the community, and yeah, I love what we've done here. And I'm so excited. I can't tell you how excited I am for the 2024 we've got coming up. The live shows are going to be relaunched and the production level is going to go through the roof compared to what we've got right now. And there's a massive emphasis on high quality content coming out in United People's TV. Lots more deep dives. We're going to be doing more like long form, kind of like narrative documentaries. It's going to be exciting. I hope you're all going to come along for the ride. But look, everybody enjoy your weekend. I'll speak to you next after the Spurs game. I'm going for a 2-1 win. And you're going for a 4-2 slobber knocker, you said. I'd take that. But United, exploit Spurs' high line, get the ball to Bruno in the right positions, and Bruno find those killer balls for Garnacho and Rashford and just square the ball for Højlund. I would be surprised in this game against Spurs if Højlund didn't have like a squared opportunity. Let's see if I'm right.